What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, Wednesday evening, October 12th, 7 p.m. Central Time, we're just going to be hanging out, answering your guys' question in the chat room. So fire up your questions if you guys got some. We'll kind of just go over some of the player news and the injury news and probably just kind of start to cover some games. I'm going to hop into a screen share real quick. If you guys want to, I do cover the week 6 start sit charts all by themselves. I put a video there. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. But we got 4 buys this week: the Lions, the Titans, the Raiders, and the Texans. So with that, it's kind of fun having bye weeks back. It kind of gets us thinking and starts making us think about players off the waiver wire. So let's get into the start sit questions here. We got Ron hanging out with us tonight. I think I'm going David Njoku at this point. I know Pitt's practiced today. He's probably going to play this weekend, but I think you got to go with Njoku. He's the hot hand right now. He's been hot for 3 straight games, so continue to roll with Njoku. Should I start McKenzie, Kareem Hunt, Dobbs, or Alec Pierce at my flex? I think Kareem Hunt is probably your safest play. If you're feeling risky, if I'm starting a receiver, I think I like Alec Pierce the best. I would probably – and I like McKenzie in PPR. That's a good format for him. I do like Romeo Dobbs as well because I don't think Christian Watson plays in this one. I have him listed here as doubtful with a hamstring. I don't think he practiced today. I know he didn't practice today. So I would bet Romeo's going to be on the field a lot. But my pecking order is probably Kareem Hunt then Alec Pierce as far as receivers. Good evening to Harris. Hope you're doing well, my man. Should I be concerned with Tyler Higby's injury? I'm not overly concerned. Let me double check the practice reports. I want to see, did he miss or was he limited today? They don't have anything in there. Let's type in Tyler Higby's name. Is there a search bar for me? Let's go ahead and type in Higby. I didn't hear anything too concerning, so I think it's probably just I mean, we're at the point now where Wednesday practices, like everyone's already kind of banged up. I don't have anything in here, so as of right now, I'm not concerned with Higby unless we hear further information. Joe Burrow or Tomas Brady? Let's go look at the fantasy points allowed chart here.
It's the first week where
I
kind of the landscape.
Gotta pause these Yahoos here. But in terms of fantasy points allowed, the Raiders allowing the most points, but they're on bye this week, and you got Joe Burrow going up against the Saints. They've allowed a fair, they're kind of medium here, but the Buccaneers going up against the Steelers, I think you want to lean into the Steelers matchup. So I'm going to say Tom Brady. Both teams are on the road, but I think you're going to go with Tom Brady here. Someone dropped, good evening to Chase. Someone dropped Bills defense today. Should I pick them up even though I have Eagles defense? If you can, That's what's tough is you're not going to use them this week against the Chiefs, and they do have the bye next week. They still have the same bye as the Eagles, so technically you're going to be hoarding 2 defenses over your bye week. I mean, if you have the ability to do so, I think it's worth a shot. In the one league that I play with defenses, I roster 3 defenses. So if you have the room for it, I don't hate it. But Chase, you'd have to let me know who we're dropping this week, and then you also have to think about week 7. Who do I need to pick up there? I want to start we should call attention to this too, because Chase brings up the idea of the bye weeks next week. There's some good quarterbacks on bye next week, guys. So we're talking Josh Allen, Stafford, Kirk, and Jalen Hurts. So you have 2 top 5 QBs for sure. And then I think people are using Kirk and Stafford as fringe QB1s kind of streamers. So it's a good week to stash a quarterback if you can. As well as defenses, because I mean we've been using Philly, we've been using kind of all these defenses. These are all good teams here, so it's going to be a tough bye week next week. Let me kind of zoom in here. Good evening to Christian. I was able to trade Mixon and Pittman for Debo and Breece Hall. I think it's to be honest, it's a pretty fair trade, but I think you got the hot commodity in Breece Hall right now. And as far as the Colts offense, I'm not excited about it. So I think getting into the 49ers, to me, that's an upgrade, Debo to Pittman. I view Mixon and Breece Hall similarly, but the hype for Breece Hall right now is pretty good. So I think you got on the good side of this deal. Benjamin or JD McKissick PBR? Dang, because we're not going to – McKissick plays tomorrow night. We're not going to know. Let's pull up the week 6 numbers here. So McKissick plays tomorrow night. You got Eno Benjamin not playing until 3:05. I think they might move that game for the baseball game too. Let's see what Seattle's allowing for the running backs here. I think you're going to want to wait for Eno, unless you're comfortable, Harris. If you're comfortable taking the 8 to 10 PPR points from McKissick, go ahead and do that. Like that is a good spot for them. Let's see here. The Chicago Bears allow a good amount of points to the running back here, but it's more so on the ground, not really through the air. So I think Benjamin's probably your guy. Connor didn't play today, and even if Connor plays, the dude's been injured, for a couple times this season. So there's a chance that Benjamin's heavily involved either way. Kyle Pitts, or let's look at this. Let's look at the charts here. So Kyle Pitts or Tyler Higby. Higby going up against the Panthers. That's kind of middle of the road. The 49ers against the tight end are pretty legit. So I think Higby's your guy. I have an easy matchup this week, so I could afford to bench the Bills. All right, let's do it. Kenneth Walker, AJ Dillon, half PPR. You got to go Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is setting himself up to be a really nice running back two for us the rest of the way now that Rashad Penny's out of the system. The Arizona Cardinals look like they are decent against the running back, but you're going to want Kenneth Walker in there. I think he's the easy spot. He's the clear starter in this team. They only have another good running back behind him, and he's a pass catcher. So it's Kenneth Walker until further notice on Dillon. Good evening to Ryan. Hope you're doing well, my man. Chase says, my bench is ETN, Bateman, Dillon, Pierce, Judy, Pickens, and Walker. Whew, I don't know who you cut, my man. I would love to get Buffalo defense, but I don't know who you cut. That's a tough one. We're looking at, you got Damian Pierce there, unless that's Alec Pierce. That's a tough one. I think you probably need to just chill with this. Like, I don't want to send any of those guys to the waiver wire. Unless Chase, if you can work a trade right now to kind of do a 2-for-1 where you send two guys and you get one good player back, that might be your best option right now. So maybe explore some 2-for-1s. No problem, Ron. Best of luck to you and everyone as well. Christian says, with Hurts on bye next week, is Daniel Jones startable versus the Jags? I think so. Let's see, Daniel Jones going up against the Jags. The Jags have been stingy against the quarterback. Let's go look at some of these quarterback numbers here. I think Daniel Jones has been good for like 12 to 14 points each game. Let's pull this up and see what he's got. And again, I know the Jags are a little bit stingy at the moment right now, but so far, let's see where Daniel Jones is ranked. Daniel Jones is QB 14, which is pretty solid. He's averaging 15.4 points per game. I think, it's funny enough, like Green Bay was his worst game. He didn't score a touchdown, but he put up points. So I think Daniel Jones offers you a pretty safe, reliable floor. Derek says, start, sit James Robinson or Melvin Gordon. Whew. Let's look at the fantasy points allowed here. The Chargers against Denver, man, that they allowed, there's been so many big plays the Chargers have allowed to the running back. So I think in theory, this is probably your best matchup. The Colts a little bit stingier here. They're kind of middle of the road. So I think you got to lean into Melvin Gordon in this one. Ron says, do you think Rashad Bateman's targets go up from here? Would you trade him for Jacoby Myers, Cole Kmet, and 2022? I have Mac Jones. So you have Mac Jones. Okay, so this is Dynasty. I think in Dynasty, you want to keep Rashad Bateman. But you do get that 2023 second. I do like Jacoby Myers, so I see what you're doing there. If you need a backup tight end project, I'm okay with it. But it's clear to me Bateman's probably the best guy. But like, there's a chance Lamar Jackson's not with the Baltimore Ravens next year, so that does interest me. I think in terms of start sit, as like if I'm going to start a guy right now, you're starting Jacoby Myers over Bateman in a full PPR. So I kind of like it. He's a more friendly PPR floor for sure. I think Bateman's ceiling's a lot of fun. I just that target share in Baltimore after Mark Andrews, it's pretty hard to predict. I do like what Devin Duvernay's been doing as well. So Bateman, I would kind of view Rashad Bateman similarly to like a Gabriel Davis, where like, yeah, some weeks he's going to get you 100 yards and 2 touchdowns or something, but like the other weeks he's going to go, 2 for 25. So I think in terms of risk level, I'd rather start Jacoby Myers every week. And the fact that you get the second there, I'm kind of leaning into the trade, man. I think it's a nice trade. Why is DJ Moore in a green practice jersey? I didn't see that. Let me look at the practice reports here. Was he listed as limited? It says he got a full practice in, so I'm not sure what you saw there, but full practice, he should be fine. Harris says rank Lockett, Pickens, and Lazard half PPR. Lockett's the guy right now. I think you want to be attached to Geno Smith. So Lockett's the dude. Lazard's catching touchdowns, so I'm going to go with Lazard as number 2 and then Pickens number 3. But technically, Harris, all of these receivers are probably top 36 plays. I think they all should be started in 12-team leagues. Christian says A.J. Dillon's available on waivers. Should I drop? I think so. I think Antonio Gibson. Tomorrow night we're going to get the reveal just how good Brian Robinson is. And I mean, last week here, let me actually pull the numbers up. Let me see. PFF, where's week 5? Snaps, routes, week 5. Let's pull this up. I want to show you what we're looking at here. Where is the game? They do not have it on here. One second. I'm just looking for the PFF link. So here we go. Washington and Tennessee. Here's the snaps and everything from that game. So last week, McKissick gets 23 snaps, Gibson 20, Robinson 18. In terms of carries, though, Robinson 9 to only 3 for Gibson. So this is very concerning. I know I like the 4 targets there for Gibson, but I think long-term, I probably want A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon or James Robinson non-PPR. This week, the Jets pretty stingy against, or they're middle of the road against the run, and then you got the Colts against the Colts against James Robinson. James Robinson's usage was not great last week either. Let's take a look at that. I think Travis Etienne starting to kind of take away some of that momentum that James Robinson had. So 10 carries for James Robinson, only 9 for Etienne. So it was kind of split down the middle, but you see the snaps and the routes run and the targets going to Etienne. So I kind of view Robinson and Dillon very, very similarly. I've been a big A.J. Dillon guy all season. I think I'm going to go with A.J. Dillon at home here, a matchup where the Packers should win against the Jets. We would think so. Good evening to Aiden. He's got his weekly Jeff Wilson, Mostert, J.K. Dillon, Kenny Walker pick 2. He says, I think you have to. We're not Jeff Wilson Jr. against the Falcons. I think that's a smash spot. And I think the next best player, I'm looking at Walker or Mostert. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker against the Cardinals. Mostert, I'll rank 3rd, and then I'll go J.K. 4th, Dillon 5th. So I'm starting Jeff Wilson and Kenneth Walker. Pickett or Jimmy G for next week. Let's look at that schedule for next week, the week 7 schedule. I'm trying to remember who Jimmy G plays. Is it Tampa Bay? Jimmy Garoppolo hosting Kansas City. That could be nice. Kenny Pickett going up against Pittsburgh at Miami. Kenny Pickett, Sunday Night Football. That might be kind of fun. I mean, I got to say Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the safer call. Again, Kansas City, they're going to need to – Kansas City's going to score points. We know this. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo might be the safer start. So I think I'm going to lean with Jimmy G. I have Lamar, but could try for Josh Allen, maybe 2 for 1. Yeah, go for it. If you could upgrade to Josh Allen, I think I'm cool with that. And he needs RB help. I mean, if you could dump him Etienne and Lamar for Josh Allen, I think I'm cool with that. Just don't give up Pierce. If he's willing to take Etienne or Dillon, I think those are the 2 I'm trying to push. I want to keep Kenneth Walker and Dameon Pierce though, if you can. Pick 2: Pittman, Sutton, T disappeared, Higgins, or Doubs. You're going with Sutton. I think Sutton's kind of entrenched right now as a must-start fantasy asset. Going up against the Chargers, they do allow a fair amount of wide receiver points, so I love Sutton. As far as Michael Pittman Jr. in his matchup, he's kind of got a tougher matchup against the Jags. I don't love it. I can't remember what did he do against them week 2. I thought he got hurt in that game, if I remember correctly. Let's take a peek at that. So he didn't play in that week. I mean, I think Pittman's probably the safest play. Higgins didn't practice today with an ankle, so I'm going to say Sutton and Pittman are your guys. Good evening to Jason. I still can't say that name right. Jason. His RB1-2 with Connor and Wilson Jr. and wide receivers are Chase and Metcalf. Yeah, he needs a running back. He might be interested in ETN. I think Prescott plays next week. Yes. Okay, Brian Robinson or AJ Dillon. I'm gonna go with AJ Dillon just because we still don't know what to expect. I like Brian Robinson long term, but he's still in a committee with McKissick and Gibson. He didn't get any targets last week. He's probably set for 9 to 12 carries tomorrow night. It's a three-way committee, whereas Jones and Dillon's a two-way. I think you got to go with Dillon. Who do you think I can get for Michael Pittman and Adam Thielen? Michael Pittman and Adam Thielen. Right now, Pittman, wide receiver 29, Thielen, wide receiver 33. So you're kind of cashing in two wide receiver threes. You might be able to get like a Christian Kirk or a CD Lamb, like looking like essentially like wide receivers 15 through 20. I mean, Devonta Smith, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, DK Metcalf, Lamb, Debo, maybe Amari Cooper if you're interested there. Maybe T. Higgins if you can be patient with T. Higgins, that might be someone you can cash in on. But essentially, Pittman and Thielen, you're going to cash in maybe 10 to 15 spots higher than they're ranked. Pittman or McLaurin. I'll go with Terry McLaurin tomorrow night. No Jahan Dotson, no Logan Thomas. They got to use him, so I think McLaurin's probably safe. And Terry's been playing well. I know he's not ranked very highly. He's wide receiver 31, but last week he's going to get double digits. I think Terry's your guy. Are we still starting Melvin? That depends on your options, my man. I think this might be the matchup is technically the best matchup he's going to get. The Chargers allow the most fantasy points to the running back, so I think you got to roll with Melvin one more week. The thing we're watching for this week, though, is will he lose short yardage and goal line to Latavius Murray? Because I'm assuming Murray's going to be active. They're going to have Murray, Boone, and Melvin kind of in the mix. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to see it Monday Night Football. We'll see how much Melvin can do. But I think unless you have a better option, let me know who you got. But we'll see. Yeah, weekly, my man. Would you not roster a defense to keep Tyler Higby in a lineup non-PPR? I mean, Higby's he's a top 5 tight end right now. If you have a nice matchup and you can get away without a defense, I'm fine with it. Otherwise, one thing that I like doing too is say you have a tough cut, you drop that player Sunday morning. That way nobody else can pick him up because I think he goes to waivers. So if you need to wait until last minute, because then you can maybe go get him back the next week. I think that might be the option. There we go. PPR, T. Higgins, Dubes, Mostert, JK. If T plays, I'm playing T. Higgins. He's a stud. So if T plays, I want him in. If not, we'll go with Mostert, Mike Thomas, or Hollywood. We're going to go Hollywood Brown. It's his last week before Hopkins comes back. Seattle Seahawks, they've been kind of stingy against the wide receiver, but Marquise Brown, man, he's locked into top 10 wide receiver right now. Smith or Wentz, 4-point passing touchdowns for the next 2 weeks. Give me Geno Smith. Who do you think I can get in a trade at the wide receiver position if I trade away Lazard and Deontay Johnson? Good question. So Deontay, wide receiver 32, Lazard 34. So kind of it's very similar to the Michael Pittman, Adam Thielen. You're trying to cash in 2 wide receiver 3s, and you're trying to get a wide receiver 2. So talk to the Higgins owner, talk to Devonta Smith, Mike Evans, Kirk, Metcalf. Maybe you can get CD Lamb, some of those guys here. Talk to the Cortland Sutton, Jamar Chase guys. And, you can aim high, see if these guys are willing to do a 2-for-1 for these players. But you're probably looking at anywhere from Debo down to Devonta Smith. Like these names right here, probably good 2-for-1 candidates. Who are your top streaming defenses this week? So my favorite chart is on my draft. If you ever want to look, I do have the content page where it's the DraftKings Sportsbook. And I love this chart for figuring out who to use on defense. So I have it filtered by team totals. So teams at the top, like Buffalo's projected to score 28.5. Teams at the bottom, not expected to score a lot of points. So I would say anyone on the bottom here, these are the defenses you want to be using. So, I mean, if you can get the Rams, cool. If you can get the Buccaneers, these teams are probably already owned, but that's, if you have them, use them. But look at Chicago. Chicago in a good spot at home. The Commanders are only expected 18.25 points. I think the Bears are probably one of the more popular streaming options this week. Philadelphia, San Francisco's probably owned. Maybe someone cut the Packers. And if you can't get the Bears, the Washington football team, man, it's a good spot. Both offenses not expected to score a lot of points. There's only 37.5 implied in this one. That's the lowest of the week total. So I think either the Bears or the Commanders. If I'm going to choose one, I want the Bears. But maybe the Browns, maybe the Colts. I know you're never going to do the Colts against your Jags, but that's probably where I'd look. Maybe the Ravens. I'm going to lean towards no Pat Freiermuth this week. I think he's had 3 concussions in the last year and a half. And there's been 5 games this year and all of last year. So it's more like a year and a quarter. So he's probably not going to play. They're going to be cautious with him. David Njoku. I got Melvin, Dylan, Eno, and of course Mixon. So you're starting Mixon, yes. We'll do this, my man. If James Conner is out, you got to start Benjamin. He is the clear play. So let's hope for that. I know Melvin plays Monday night. Dylan plays at noon, so that's a little bit tougher. But if we get if Connor, he didn't practice today, if Connor doesn't practice Thursday or Friday, like it's pretty clear to me that Eno is going to be the guy. So let's hold out for that. If Connor does play, I suppose we'll hold out for Melvin Gordon. Juju, Kirk, Lazard, Bateman, JK. I'm not sure Bateman's going to play again. He missed practice with that mid foot injury. I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. He had that big 2-touchdown game against the Colts earlier. What do you think about Lawrence? He killed them week 2. I'm fine with Lawrence. The difference is it's at Indianapolis, I believe. Is that correct? It's at Indy. He lit him up for what? Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 18.5. It's a good matchup here. He's probably not a top 10, top 12 QB, but if you need it, I think we should expect a bounce back. And to be honest, like he played poorly last week. He still got 10 points. He didn't score a touchdown. So you take this stat line and you add a touchdown to it, you're probably looking at 14 to 18 points as a range. How are you looking at your wide receiver rankings? Because when I tried to do that, it's different rankings. So the way I did it is I hit PRK, which is just position rankings. And yours is a different scoring format because it's going to sync to whatever league it is. So mine is full PPR. That might be the difference. Is Dalton Schultz going to play this week? I'm going to lean towards no. He re-aggravated that knee injury. He had that PCL injury a few weeks ago. So I would lean towards no on Dalton Schultz. I have big Pat Freiermuth in one of my leagues. Don't have a backup. Should I drop Rachaad White for Kadon Schultz or Noah Fant? Let's not drop Rachaad White yet. I would bleed this out until Saturday or Sunday. If we get any limited practice in from Pat this week, that gives us hope. So I would not make this decision until Friday evening, Saturday at the latest. If Pat doesn't play, can you put him in the IR spot? I don't know if you have an IR spot in your league, but if you have an IR spot, you'd be able, if he gets the red O, you'd be able to move him to the IR and then pick up someone for free. Can I feel good about starting Benjamin at Connor? Yes. Back-to-back DNPs is pretty good. And even if, because this is your McKissick question, even if Connor plays, I think there's going to be a plan for Benjamin. Let's look at Eno's range of outcomes. Where is Mr. Benjamin? So he's averaging 8.3 points per game on the year. His floor is 4 to 5 points with a healthy Connor, but you're probably looking at more of an 8 to 9. I think he's going to be involved in this game. You remove the touchdown from last week, and I think that could probably be where you're at. So I think 8 to 10 points. I think you got to hold out hope for that. I'm scared to drop Khalil Herbert. Yeah, he's purely just a handcuff stash right now. It sucks, but he's a valuable piece, and with a guy like Montgomery, he kind of gets nicked up every now and then, so it's a tough decision. No, I think that's more so Cooper Kupp. Just he's probably just taking it easy. Higby DNP and Kupp DNP. This looks like a light day here. They didn't practice a lot of guys here, so I think he's going to be fine. Do I have IR spot? I do have an IR spot, but it won't work. Well, as soon as a player gets the red O, then they're eligible for the IR spot. If they're questionable or doubtful or anything like that, they can't go in there. But as soon as you see a red O, you should try putting them in the IR. Yeah, he's due for some touchdown regression. That's for sure. I mean, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but there's no way he's going to keep up this touchdown every game stuff here. But he found his floor. I mean, he found a 6-point floor. He's not super explosive. He did have a nice game against the Buccaneers and the Chargers, but going up against Buffalo and San Francisco, two of the best defenses in the league, I'm not excited about Clyde Edwards-Helaire the next 2 weeks. Rams or Bears? D. Donald didn't practice today. I'll go Rams. I think Donald. I think he'll be fine. Where is Aaron Donald with a foot injury? I don't know too much about it. I think I'm going to go with the Rams, though. Panthers are one of the worst teams, and PJ Walker's starting. I'm trying to pick up Josh Reynolds over Adam Thielen, and then try to trade Pittman and him for someone higher than I would get with Pittman and Thielen. No, Josh Reynolds is kind of a gimmick because no Amon-Ra St. Brown and no DJ Chark. So I don't as far as value, like Adam Thielen's name carries more weight. So there's a reason Josh Reynolds is on the waiver wire. If that guy wanted him, he'd go pick him up. So I think you try and deal Pittman and Thielen first. David Montgomery or Melvin Gordon PPR. David Montgomery. Sleeper. See, I'm not a sleeper fan. I know a lot of people like sleeper, but I don't get why ESPN gets all the hate. I prefer ESPN over sleeper. Yeah, I'm not sure how sleeper works. That would be frustrating. Maybe they have a little bit more of a different IR setting where the player needs to. Maybe it's the player needs to be like actually on IR. So like if I went to IR eligible, like you see there's a bunch of people with red O's, but maybe only guys like Javonte or Cordero because they're actually on IR. Maybe that's the situation. Hayden Hurst, no question. Hayden Hurst. Especially if no T. Higgins, we'll go with Hayden Hurst. Needs to IR. That sucks. That's tough. Pat O'Malley's no backup. Should I drop or should I wait for K-Dot? Yeah, let's hold that one out until later. I do like Pat Freiermuth. You don't want to drop him. Rashad White's probably the drop, and hopefully you can get him back on your team. Yeah, and that's a tough IR spot for me. I think there was a setting for that, but anytime a guy's out, I let my leagues move their guys to the IR, so that does suck. By the way, do you guys see there's a new ESPN chat feature? If on the app, I think it's in the top right corner. It's a little chat emoji. But anyways, if you guys got more questions, we'll hang out for a few more minutes. I did want to kind of just refresh the player news feed and see if anything else came through. I think Keenan Allen's going to play in this one. Saquon Barkley with that shoulder doesn't sound like a concern. Interested about Diami Brown, questionable with the groin. I believe Mostert not practicing today was just more of a rest day for him. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek both practiced in full today. Jeff or Kenneth Walker, non-PPR. Whew, that's a tough question, my man. I always default to my fantasy points allowed. Kenneth Walker up against the Cardinals. Cardinals are stingier against the run than I figured. I think in Atlanta. Where is Atlanta? I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson. He's looked really good the last couple games. I'll stick with Jeff Wilson. Depends on who your other option is. It sounds like Keenan Allen's going to play, which could put a dent into Everett's total targets, and he hasn't been playing. I think he's been kind of lame for the last couple of weeks here. Let me double check. Let me get off IR eligible. Where is Mr. Everett? So yeah, the last 1.2 and then 17. If Keenan Allen plays, I'm not excited about it. In a 2 QB league where I only got 1 QB, I got offered Watson and Chase Edmonds for ETN. Watson and Chase Edmonds for ETN. I don't think that helps you. I mean, Edmonds is kind of useless, and you can't use Watson until week 13. ETN's kind of starting to take over. I don't think that helps you. You got Knox. Let's see if Dawson Knox got a practice in today. I like Dawson Knox, but he's been hard to trust. He did get limited in today, so I think the way that I would do this is if Keenan Allen plays, I'll go with Dawson Knox. Allen Lazard, Deontay Johnson, full PPR. let me look and see what Deontay did last week. And the dude still played a ton of snaps, 11 targets. I think in full PPR, you're going to go with Deontay Johnson just because he's guaranteed targets. But with Lazard, you never kind of know what you're going to get. And if you guys want me to drop this link in there again, this is the PFF link. You just kind of scroll down and you can pick your game. There's tons of games where you can look at all these charts. So I'll put that in the comments for you guys if you want to use it. Aiden says Jeff Wilson Jr., Breece Hall, Sanders. Whew, those are all heavy hitters. I think Breece Hall is kind of must start at this point. So he's kind of the clear guy. For me, Sanders is a tough matchup against the Cowboys. You can see the Cowboys are pretty good against the running back. Packers are middle of the road, so I'm not super scared about Breece Hall in that matchup there. Atlanta technically presents the best matchup, so I'm going to rank these guys as Breece, Jeff, Sanders. Lazard or Curtis Samuel, PPR. I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel. He's got a pretty safe floor. I think he can be comfortable. There's no Logan Thomas or no Jahan Dotson, so I think you kind of got to lead into that. Last week was a tough matchup for Curtis, but he still went 6 for 62. I mean, you're looking at at worst case scenario, you collect your 8 points. And maybe he finds the end zone. He's been missing from the end zone for 3 straight games now, so I think Curtis Samuel's probably the guy. In this one, I'm gonna stick with Christian Kirk here. I do like Allen Lazard. Let's look at Lazard's numbers real quick. He's been kind of touchdown dependent, but 4 games, 4 solid nights here. I mean, if he doesn't catch a touchdown, I mean, he got bailed out with the 116. It isn't like the Jets are a pretty good secondary right now. They're not allowing a lot of fantasy points to that position. You can see them right here. Whereas the Colts have been pretty stingy here, but I mean, they had that big game. I'm going to lean with Christian Kirk. Give me, that one's tough too. We'll spread it out. We'll go Kirk in this one. We'll go Devonta in that one. Lockett, Singletary, Cooper, Wilson, Dobbs, Samuel. Lockett is your guy. And then Samuel will be my next best player. And then I think give me Cooper and then Singletary. Lazard or Gabe Davis in half PPR and non-PPR. I'll go with Lazard in both. I trust him because he's kind of the number one. Gabe Davis is very boom bust, but he's coming off a huge game. The defenses might be sitting back on him. I think I'm going to go with Lazard here. Anyways, we're going over a little bit of half an hour here. I'll answer maybe one more question or two if you guys got it. Fire it up. Otherwise, tomorrow night we'll be going live. I go live at 6:30 Central Time, so roughly 45 minutes before kickoff. If you guys want to hang out with me, we'll go over any other injury news or player news that you guys need and any other questions you got. So if I don't have any more questions, I'm gonna get out of here for tonight. You guys can always find me on Twitter at theFellowKGB. You can message me there with questions, and then I will say if you guys. If you ever missed the YouTube show and you want to watch it, we are on, not only on YouTube, but we're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts as well. If you guys want to check that out. Is Alvin Kamara going to have a good week? I think so. He has done better with Andy Dalton, which I think is interesting. And I know Jameis Winston played in practice today. So it's looking like he's going to play. But I think Kamara's back. He looked really good last week. I would expect a nice matchup with him this week as well. Loops start a wide receiver, RB in a flex. Mike, Connor, Kenneth, Gordon, Terry, J-Rob. The receiver you're starting here is Mike Williams. The RB you're starting is Kenneth Walker, and then my flex is going to be Terry McLaurin. Those are the players that I want to ride with. I don't know if Connor's going to play. Even if he does play, how healthy is he? I have questions on Gordon in the Broncos backfield, and then same kind of questions with James Robinson in the Jags backfield. So I'm getting Mike, Kenneth, and Terry in my lineup. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, if you guys want to check out, I did cover all the games earlier today. It's just it's called Week 6 Fantasy Preview. If you want to check it out, no problem, my man. Thanks for asking the question, hanging out with us tonight. Again, I'll be live tomorrow night if you guys want to come hang out, 6:30 Central Time. If not, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I don't know. We'll see you guys later. Peace.